6 o'clock. Woo! All right, guys. Dani Williamson here, and it is Sunday night, and I have got Jeff Thurston with me. And if it's Sunday night, that means it's Sunday night service, and we are loaded with information tonight on probiotics, digestive enzymes, systemic enzymes, fiber, how to build your terrain up to boost your immune system. And I have the one and only Jeff Thurston here that I met probably 10 years ago. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Guys, oh, it's going to be fun. Guys, as soon as you all get logged on, hit your heart buttons, hit your like buttons, tell me exactly where you're from, and you can ask your questions down here. And if we can't get them answered today, or I'm sorry, while we're live, we'll do this as soon as we're over. But I just wanted to tell you, Ava, my boss from New York City, is on here tonight. Absolutely. And hello, Mary. I appreciate you guys on here tonight. But listen, Jeff and I met probably 10 years ago at my favorite show of the year, the Integrative Healthcare Symposium in New York City. I go every year. This year we've canceled, or last year they canceled it. This year it's no. That's a lie. This year it's been postponed till the fall. I met him there 10 years ago. He's the first booth I walk up to every single year because his probiotic, Theralac, is the very first probiotic that I was started on 10 years ago, now 11 years ago at 44, when Dr. Dan Kalb looked me square in the eye and said, Dani, what are you eating? Do you know your diet controls your condition? Mine was lupus and irritable bowel syndrome. And he said, do you take digestive enzymes and probiotics? And do you know your food sensitivities? This is what Dan Kalb at Cool Springs Family Medicine started me on 10 years ago. And I still use it to this day, Jeff. I still rotate my probiotics, and Theralac is my number one selling number one selling probiotic in the office. And this man right here is the co-founder of Master Supplements, makers of Theralac and other things. And I am so honored to get to speak to you tonight. He's a well, I didn't know this. He's a microbiologist, a virologist. He's a salesman too. And he and Randy, right, started this company. What year?
2002.
2002. And they have taken this company from a small little company to a world-renowned supplement company. Yes, probiotic and enzyme company, as well as fiber. And I am so grateful tonight. And we're going to hop right in here. Actually, I was watching a video that said that you said that the very first trade show that you all did in the functional medicine world, every single doctor or nurse practitioner who ordered your probiotics back in 2002, I suppose, or 2003, are still clients of yours.
Except for the two that have passed on, yes.
That's incredible. That speaks for the integrity of this company and the product, which I'm so excited about. So, Jeff, thank you. I want you to tell us about the company. How did you all even get it started? We have 45 minutes for you to share your amazing information with us tonight.
Well, Randy and I were both working with organic agriculture.
Okay.
I had an organic pesticide that didn't kill the bugs, just kept them away from the vegetables. And he was growing increasing yields in crops using bacteria.
Okay.
And we had a common distributor. He had an event, and Randy spoke and I spoke. We went out to dinner, and that was, I think, 1995. And he said, someday we have to start a company. In 2002, he called me and said, you ready? I said, yep. I dropped everything. We started the company with our credit cards.
Are you serious? With your credit cards?
Yep. Couldn't do it now because interest rates are way higher now. But back then they were 3-4%. So you could afford to, carry over a little bit. But we didn't take a salary for the first 4 years.
Oh yeah. I know all about that. And look where you are now.
Yeah. I mean, the first product we made two. The first one we made, and we knew what we needed to do with probiotics. The first thing you have to know is you have to get them through the stomach. Stomach acid kills most bacteria. It's Mother Nature's way of protecting you. right? So stomach acid, there was a study once said you lose only 3 logarithms going through the stomach. Well, that's 3 zeros. So if you started with 1,000, you ended up with 1, right? It sounds great when you say 3 logarithms, but that still means 99.9% are killed in the stomach. Now, when you eat yogurt, you eat any kind of fermented foods, you eat a lot, and some get through and they do their thing. So it's not like they're useless, but we knew that you had to have a therapeutic amount.
Yes.
And we wanted to make sure that they were sticky, they had the ability to adhere, that there was plenty of research behind them. Yes. And then from a mistake in production, when Randy was growing bacteria for Chris Hansen's, one of the pumps on one of the ingredients didn't work. And so nothing would grow. And from that mistake, we knew that we had to add something into the capsule to wake these bacteria up. So when they're grown, just so you get an idea how they're grown, there's a 1,000-gallon fermenter. There's a special broth that you put the bacteria in. They grow. You got to control for heat and pH and oxygen potential and a lot of different things. And then you get them to a certain point, no more food, full of bacteria. You centrifuge them out. You wash them. You drop them into liquid nitrogen, and then you suck all the water out of them.
Okay.
So these are very fragile. You look at them and you say they can't possibly be alive, but all you have to do is add water. But if you add sunflower lecithin and oleic acid to them, they wake up faster and they can start to become effective more quickly. So we started testing. We looked, we could add that to almost any other probiotic. And guess what? They grew faster and produced more lactic acid in 12 hours than they did without it. Now, they might catch up at 24 or 36 hours, but if somebody has diarrhea in 12 hours, most of it's already gone. But ours are already awake and functioning in like 4 hours. And at 6 hours, they're higher than most of these other companies are at 12. And then at 12 hours, we're already at maximum output. So we know how to get them through the stomach and how to wake them up. But we also knew they needed food. They need to be fed. So we needed enzymes to break down the food that people are eating to feed the bacteria. And just a little short story of how important it is to feed bacteria. In human breast milk, there's an ingredient called human milk oligosaccharide. It's indigestible by the human being. Why would it be in breast milk? And the composition of said human milk oligosaccharide is in part determined by the microbiome of mom. So if you look at it in a very different way, the bacteria and mother are feeding their offspring, and mother is the vehicle.
Yes.
So bacteria, they're so very important. So we have to feed them. And fiber is their food. Fiber does nothing for a human being. Fiber is food for the bacteria in your gut. Soluble fiber, I should say. Insoluble fibers is bulk for your stool. Right. So we knew we needed to have a good digestive enzyme, and we made it sure it was probiotic compatible. And then we had the probiotic. That's where we started. Then we added a fiber, and we were doing a lot with children on the spectrum. We knew that they didn't eat a lot of foods that were raw, like raw fruits and vegetables. So we added a few fiber digesting enzymes into that so that they would get some enzymes to break down the food that's been cooked. So those are the first 3 products we had for, I don't know, first 6 or 7 years. That's the fiber, correct?
Was this one? And then was it Enzylase?
Enzylase, yep. Those were the first. Then we added another probiotic that was aimed at problematic yeast.
Was this your first one?
That was the first one. That was our very first product, Theralac. Enzylase was number 2. True Fiber was number 3.
Well, I'm telling you, this is our number 1 seller in the office. Number 1, hands down. I start every patient on it that I think needs to be on, unless they come in with one and they already love their probiotic. Okay. All right. Keep talking.
All right. Well, one of the other things that we always did from day one, we had a couple of things. Number 1, my partner and I said, we're going to make an effective product. And no matter what happens, we're not going to cheapen the product to meet a price point.
Right.
So over the years, we have had to raise our price, but we have never changed the quality of the product. And we never will, because it doesn't do any good to make the product so it's ineffective for your patients or the people who are watching here.
That's right.
The other thing we did was we published third-party lab tests online by lot number from day one. So we've always done that. Other companies still don't do that, but we've always done that.
Absolutely. I'm a big believer.
Then in September of 2019, we knew we were in a position that was either eat or be eaten. We just weren't growing. We only had a few products. You know, it's kind of hard to grow with a very limited product line. So we just decided we were going to buy another company. So we purchased US Enzymes. Bingo. There you go.
Yeah, so, these beautiful blue bottles. Tell us about US Enzymes.
Well, one of the things that attracted us to US Enzymes, and this is a little thing, that, you know, the company who makes them has always been our major supplier. And Troy Opperly, who started the company, he's now the largest supplier of enzymes in the United States. When he started the company, he's a mountain climber. He's an extreme athlete. He's climbed the highest mountain on every continent. Everest, you know, Kilimanjaro, you name it, he's climbed it. He won the race through the Grand Canyon. He got tired of making products for other companies that were ineffective, not properly built, so they weren't going to be as effective as they needed to be.
Right.
And then he went one step further, and we're going to start to do this ourselves because this is something I'd never thought of before. If you took one capsule a day, he put 31 capsules in a bottle.
Yes.
If you took 2 capsules a day, he put in 62.
Yep.
And 3 capsules a day, he put in 93. Why? Because 7 months of the year have 31 days.
That's right.
So that to us said there's detail went into the thought and the quality of each of these products. And since then, like, we're just now, you know, really, really taking off. And I don't know how much of that is just, you know, what's going on in the world today. But the products that we have are really, really good. And the ones that you showed are really the critical ones. So there were some more digestive enzymes there. There were some systemic enzymes. There's some enzymes in there to break down gluten. And, you know, again, a couple of things that I really, really, really want to touch on today is read your labels, please.
Okay.
Please read your labels. Imagine you own a home and you need a plumber. And you call every friend you have and you say, give me the name of a good plumber. And every one of them said Bill Smith. You go to the phone book, there's 12 Bill Smiths as plumbers. Which one is the best? You don't know. So if you look at the label and you see Lactobacillus acidophilus, that's like Bill Smith.
That's right.
After that, you see some letters or some numbers like LA1 or NCFM or GG or whatever it is. That's like saying William Farquhar Smith III as opposed to Bill Smith. You know exactly what you're getting when you get that organism. Because some of them will increase inflammatory cytokines, some will decrease inflammatory cytokines. Some will raise histamines, some will lower histamines. Some will produce D-negative lactic acid, some will so there's all these different things, different organisms with the same genus and species.
That's right.
When you get to the strain and you look at that, and then the other thing is each strain should be guaranteed through expiration.
Yes.
Because if you look at the studies say you took 10 billion CFU per week, CFU colony forming units. You took 10 billion CFU per week to get the result that's in that study. Well, if you don't know how many are in your bottle, you know, what is it? And to me, usually when I see proprietary blend, it means I put the least of the most expensive and the most of the least expensive in the blend.
Yes.
I don't want to tell you what's in there. You know, I just built it to make the price point and say I have all these things in there.
That's exactly right. I'm not a fan of proprietary. Sometimes if you can call and get exactly what's in it, yes, but they most of the time will not share that. So here's a myth that I want you to speak of. We didn't even talk about this. We're talking about 10 colony forming units, 10 billion, or 2 billion. People come in all the time and they're like, I've got a phenomenal probiotic. It's 100 billion. You know, is there, you know, Quran, you know, Quran. So, and a couple of people who own probiotic companies, does it necessarily mean better the more CFUs that you have? Or is it about variety, or what is it?
Because depends on what you're doing. You know, again, it's going to depend. You know, it depends on what you're doing. Every one of us, you know, at birth we got bacteria from mom. With breastfeeding, we got bacteria from mom. We crawled around on the ground. We got bacteria from the soil, and it's the bacteria that created our microbiomes, which run our immune systems and help with our brain health. Everything about it just comes from the gut.
You bet.
All right, so you know you have to be able to manage that. Now, imagine, let me take an organism, E. coli, all right, pathogenic E. coli, because there are many, many, many strains of E. coli, and only a
Yes.
few are pathogenic. So we don't need to kill them all. We need just to manage that one. So let's say it doubles in 17 minutes, which it does. And a Lactobacillus acidophilus, NCFM, doubles in 80 minutes. In 6 hours, you will have 250,000 E. coli from one single unit, and the Lactobacillus, you will have 64. So if you don't take a larger number, how are you going to outcompete that one that's producing 6 times faster than the other?
That's right.
If you're looking at that issue, then you're looking at having the organisms you know that are going to help manage that organism. You need large enough numbers.
That's right.
However, you have sort of created a monoculture, or very limited varieties, then you might need a little greater variety. But the greatest way to get variety is to eat the greatest variety of fruits and vegetables.
You bet.
In your diet, you'll increase your microbiome.
Right. You bet you will.
I mean, that's the simplest rule. 3 days, you can change it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tell people every day, what's at the end of this fork right here, that's fork, is way more powerful than what's at the bottom of that pill bottle right there. Right. It's as simple as that. Now, these are supplements, not substitutes, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So not all probiotics are the same. I want to talk about the transit from the mouth to the anus and talking about refrigerated probiotics versus not. Why do we know this helps get to the gut alive the way it's supposed to? Because I always talk to patients about this, about a patented capsule or what have you that's going to make it there. Because the studies show many times we're just pooping out dead bacteria, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, what makes our probiotics different, and we're the only ones who can do this because we actually patented this. We have 19 patents on different things.
Yes.
But sodium alginate comes from seaweed.
Mm-hmm.
Sodium alginate has a very unique physical property that at a pH around 3 and under, it's converted to alginic acid. The pH goes up, it goes back to sodium alginate. It goes down, it goes back to alginic acid. So when the capsule dissolves in the stomach, the pH there should be in the 1.6 to 3 range.
That's
so
right.
The capsule dissolves, an alginic acid shell forms in the stomach. And then they're buffered. And so if you look on the ingredients, and we list every ingredient, there you can see that there's a buffer in there. And that buffer keeps the pH above 4, where the bacteria are going to be able to survive and thrive. So and then it comes out of the stomach. It gets past where the bile goes in. It gets past where pancreatic juices come in. All of a sudden, sodium bicarbonate is added in. The pH goes up. It goes back to sodium alginate. And now you have a little gel with all the bacteria you just took through the stomach. They're in their own little gel. They're protected from the indigenous bacteria. They're not competing for food and space. They have something in there that's going to wake them up. So they get deep delivery all the way down into the small, deep into the small intestine. You have to remember there's the last third of the small intestine, the first third of the colon. That's where almost all the biological activity is. And the 6 inches before and 6 inches after the ileocecal valve, that's where the battleground is. It's right. Anaerobic environment after in the colon, and before it can be a little bit aerobic. So lactobacillus are going to grow typically in the small intestine. Some may be facultative anaerobes, which means they can also survive in the colon. But bifidobacteria are obligate anaerobes. They don't like oxygen, so they make it into the colon.
Okay.
Now, there's some big differences between the different organisms. Some acidophilus can produce some inflammatory cytokines. Most bifidobacteria are going to produce anti-inflammatory cytokines. So if you've been challenged with the disease, you need the inflammatory response. Your body has to start to fight it. Mm-hmm. When it's done fighting it, it needs to calm back down. So if you look at Theralac, you're just going to have some ability to produce some inflammatory cytokines, some ability to produce some anti-inflammatory cytokines in most people. Bifidobacteria is more for people who've been, a little more stressed for a little bit longer. It's a lot more benign, if you will, in how it works.
I use this a lot with my long-term autoimmune disease patients. I don't know if that's right or not, but it worked. Okay, good. It works really great. I mean, I tell you what, this was a sleeper for me in my office. I didn't use it near as much as I should have until probably the past 18 months, honestly, of 10 years, because this one just seems to work so great. But I find it fascinating that some bacteria can create issues, right, in a person. What about if you have a histamine issue? I have a lot of patients with histamine problems. Is there one of these that we would not use? Which one would you use for histamine issues?
There are no organisms in either of those two products that are likely to increase histamines.
Okay. What about True Flora, which also has enzymes in it?
Well, that one also has a bacillus organism, which we should talk about a little bit too.
Yes.
The two lactobacillus in there are both not likely to increase histamine. So all of these are going to be somewhat, calming for that particular issue.
Okay. Okay.
And remember, a lot of people think of histamines, they think of rashes and things of that sort. And that's probably true. But I look at it, if you, your gut, there's only two ways out. You either poop it out or it comes out through your skin.
Right.
That's where toxins go. One of those two ways.
That's exactly right.
Your systems aren't working so particularly well. So I look at it, there's three parts to what we look at with these products. Number one, you have to eat good food. That's without question. But you have to be able to digest it. Most people, as we age, probably from 24, 25 years on, produce fewer enzymes every year. It's part of aging.
Yes.
So sometimes it's very helpful to add it. And the older you get, the more likely you are to have it. Probiotic bacteria to help heal and colonize and assist the gut in getting back to normal. But most people then, if they have some sort of GI issues, there's probably a fair chance that they're going to have some leaky gut.
Yes.
And if they have leaky gut, then there's going to get proteins are going to get out of their gut into their bloodstream, and they're going to cause some like sensitivities to foods and things of that sort. So a systemic enzyme, which you take away from food on an empty stomach, will get into your bloodstream and start to break down some of those proteins. So if you're looking to look at the repair process, a good digestive enzyme to feed the bacteria and then kind of clean the blood with some Therazyme.
Okay. So a good digestive enzyme like the Inulin. And I tell patients take that before the biggest meal of the day. Am I correct on that?
Correct.
And enzymes break down, Tribe, and I know y'all know this, fats, proteins, and carbohydrates mainly, correct? Is that what, I mean, and those are the hardest things to really break down. I tell people, if you don't chew your food well and start your enzyme production up here in the parotid glands, right, you're going to have bloating, gas, gurgling, carrying on. Digestive enzymes, I don't have to take them every day now. Now, I did for a long time because I was really sick with irritable bowel syndrome and lupus. But if I eat any sort of heavy protein, like a steak, today I made a roast beef, I always take my enzymes. And and here's a misconception too. We talked about this. Ideally, you'll take it at the beginning of the meal, correct?
Correct.
But if you're eating 3 or 4 bites into this meal, you can still take it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Now, again, enzymes, digestive enzymes, there's two sources, plants and animals.
Yes.
And the plant ones are generally, fermented from a mushroom or from some other plant with some bacterium to create these enzymes. They work at a much greater pH range. Animal enzymes generally come from glands, like pig pancreas and things of that sort. And when you look at a label for enzymes, it's very confusing, and I'm not going to be able to explain it to everybody here because it would take me 16 hours to do it. As one example, lipase. That's the enzyme that breaks down fat. Right. In Enzyme, you were just showing, there's 6,000 units of lipase. And they're called FIP units. So that's French International Protocol. That stands for FIP. There's 6,000. If somebody looks at their enzyme and they see 24,000 USP units, they say, mine is greater than yours, right? No, they're equal. The USP means it came from a pig. The FIP means it comes from a plant. They're given different names. And if you look at another enzyme, it might say GDU. That would be gelatin digesting units. So there's another one, FU, which stands for fibrinolytic units.
FU?
Yeah, I know. It's one of my favorites, too. Yeah, well,
I need a whole case of that.
Catalase is measured in FUs, okay?
What?
And one unit, just one unit, will break down 1 million molecules of hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygen in 1 second. That's how an enzyme is like a key in your car. You can put it in, turn the car on, turn the car off, take the key out, put the key in, turn the car. They have one job to do. They have one bond to break, and they break it, they're released. They can go do it again and again and again and again and again. Eventually, they run out of energy or they're flushed through the system, so you need to do it again the next day. But some of them are partially denatured by stomach acid.
Okay.
Your lipase, for instance, we were just talking about, may lose 20, 30, 40, 50% going through the stomach. So we use sodium alginate to protect the enzymes going through the stomach as well. So they get deeper delivery. Now, if you look at a typical digestive enzyme, what you don't want to see is large numbers and amounts of carbohydrate digesting units, like alpha amylase, alpha galactosidase, any of the sugars or carbohydrates. They're broken down into sugars, and they'll raise the glycemic index of the meal very quickly. And they're also the least expensive enzymes.
Oh, wow.
How do you build a product with a lot of stuff? Put a lot of carbohydrate digesting enzymes in there. Look at all the stuff we have in there, but you just made the meal more glycemic. So Enzalase was aimed at breaking down mostly fats and fibers. Those are the two things, because that's what's going to feed the probiotic bacteria more.
Yes, yes.
With US enzymes, we have Digestive.
Yes.
All right. And Digestive does not have the acid protection, but it's much higher in proteolytic enzymes. So it's going to be better for proteins than the Enzalase. So I would look at the meal that's high in fat and fiber, Enzalase. I would look at a high protein diet, Digestive. And then there's a Digestive Plus, which is twice as strong for bigger people. You know, you get that 250-pound athlete, he might need a little bit, he wants a little bit more.
So a ketogenic diet, a paleo diet, a carnivore diet, where it's all protein, like super high protein, this would be better than Enzalase.
Right.
Guys, I just learned something new. This is why I love what I do. I didn't know that. And so I'm grateful we have this in the office now, because I have a lot of patients who are on a ketogenic diet or a carnivore. I mean, I'm a Mediterranean diet person. Okay, keep talking, because I'm learning so much. One thing, sodium alginate is from seaweed, and it helps the probiotic or the enzyme do what exactly? I'm
through the stomach.
Huh?
Just helps it get through the stomach.
Okay. Okay.
So stomach acid has no impact. So now when people say, well, do I take my probiotic with food or I take it away from food?
Yes, well, that's a question on here right now.
Okay. So the argument is, from one side, said if you take it with food, the food is going to buffer the stomach acid. So you take it with food so you can get it through the stomach. The other camp says if you eat food, it's going to increase the amount of stomach acid. So you should take it away from food. With the sodium alginate, it doesn't make any difference.
Okay. So I tell my patients to take their Theralac when they go to bed at night, because your body heals at night. It's easy to remember to take it at night when you brush your teeth, but it doesn't matter. So if you were telling us, when's the best time to take Theralac?
Well, it's a personal preference.
Okay.
But for me, I like to take it at bedtime for a couple of reasons.
Okay.
Number one, motility slows down.
Yes.
You know, your body's not pushing food through as rapidly. So I like to say the colonization events can take place at a slower pace.
Yes.
Right. So and the other reason is there's less stress. Stress is the hardest thing on your gut. And if you can tell me that there's nobody stressed in these days, then you must be. This is the perfect topic for Sunday.
You bet. I tell my patients your body heals at night. And so I would suggest you take your probiotic at bedtime. But again, everyone's different. Okay, that makes me feel good. So Sarah, you've got the answer to that right there. Okay, keep talking.
All right, so we've talked about digestive enzyme. We've talked a little bit about probiotics. And again, probiotics, if anybody has any questions, you can reach out. I can send you papers. I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of papers. And that's what I read. Everybody, what book did you read? Nothing. I read another science paper yesterday.
Yes.
I never want to stop learning about these things. So, and then we looked at some systemic enzymes, and there are several of them. And inside Therazyme,
yes,
that's our sort of, let me call it I don't want to denigrate the product this way, but it's like a one size fits all. There's nattokinase in there. That's derived from soy, but ours, the source that we get it from is certified soy free. And there are only 2 places in the world that do that. So that's where we get our sources of nattokinase. Serrapeptidase, which is from a silkworm. That's the enzyme that they use to break out of their cocoon. And again, this is now available as a fermented form. There's C-Pros S, and C-Pros S is an amazing enzyme. It's in Japan. It's been over there for a very long time. Every single over-the-counter cold remedy has C-Pros S in it because it breaks up mucus.
Oh, what? This would be perfect for the C word going on right now, right? That they're censoring us.
I don't know. I know nothing about that.
Yeah, right. Well, which I just got over. I tell you what, Jackson swears by this. Yeah. He loves this. My son does. He thinks this enzyme is this systemic enzyme is the best one on the market.
Right. Now that one you have to take away from food.
You have to take this one away from food. Okay.
And in the morning and at night.
Okay.
So you get up in the morning, brush your teeth, take one. You can drink black coffee or tea. Please, no cream in your coffee. And then wait about 30 minutes before you eat, and you're good. At bedtime, you want to have 2 hours after you ate your last food. And then you take it on 2 at night on an empty stomach.
Can you take it with your Theralac?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
We hate to create pill fatigue.
Yes.
Because remember, the Therazyme capsule is going to break up very quickly. Those things are going to get into the early part of the small intestine and start getting absorbed fairly quickly. The Theralac is going to be in its own little protective gel, delivered deep, so it's going to take a little bit longer for it to be out in the environment where it could be impacted by the Therazyme. So everything is kind of designed so that they can work together as much as possible.
Synergistically. And sodium alginate, guys, is the word of the night. So use that word. Be looking for that when you're looking at your probiotics and things. Okay. All right. Okay. We got enzymes, probiotics. What else we going to talk about tonight? Because we're going to answer questions as well on here. But, I want to talk about this. I don't use this enough in my office. I have it in there. I know, shame on me. I've never had a pooping problem in my life. So I think that sometimes I forget, that people do. And there's somebody on here who's constipated. She wrote up there, I can't remember where it is. Tell me, why would I use True Fiber? Who's the patient that I would use True Fiber with?
How many people do you think get enough of their fiber every day?
No, I don't.
Okay, so let me talk about, now fiber we call it a prebiotic. That's the term that they're using, prebiotics. So let me describe prebiotics just a little bit. One that a lot of people are very familiar with is FOS, fructooligosaccharides.
Yes.
It has a very low molecular weight. In other words, it's quite small. It can feed the gas-producing bacteria. So some people, I happen to be one, a small amount of FOS, isolated FOS, and I feel like a basketball. But I've been pumped up, and I'm in pain, and it takes a while before that goes away. That's because the molecular weight is so small and it's feeding so many of the gas producers. Then your next level up is inulin.
Yes.
A lot of people see inulin, and the molecular weight from there, and it's measured in Daltons, and just without getting too technical, but between 5,000 and 8,000 Daltons. So there's a range of how big the molecule is. Chicory inulin is the smaller size. Jerusalem artichoke inulin is the larger size.
Oh.
So we use Jerusalem artichoke because the higher the molecular weight, the more specific it's going to be to beneficial bacteria.
Oh.
And then you get to the partially hydrolyzed guar gum. And when they just take the guar plant, they treat it with an enzyme to break it from a huge molecule down, because guar gum is used as a thickening agent, but it has nothing to do with guar gum anymore after it's been treated with an enzyme. It's brought down to it's about $20,000, pretty large size, but it's very specific to bifidobacteria. And that's the bacteria you want to proliferate in your colon. There's maybe 120 studies on our US Enzymes website talking about partially hydrolyzed guar gum. Okay. So that's what's in there. But we also added 3 fiber digesting enzymes. Why? Because some children on the spectrum, all their food is cooked, and if you can't separate the soluble fiber from the insoluble fiber, then you don't have the ability to really utilize that as a food source. Now, if you increase bifidobacteria, generally speaking, you're going to get an increase in butyrate. And butyrate is that short chain fatty acid that is so beneficial to the health of your colon. That's what bifidobacteria can help you do. So that product right there, and I tell people, look, make a pitcher in the morning. Now, here's the real key to this, though, is you take a scoop that's in the bottle, put it in the glass first, add room temperature water. It goes and dissolves very clear very quickly.
So don't put it in water.
If you put that scoop into that water, it's going to grab all that water. It's going to thicken up, and it's going to be a lot harder to stir it into solution.
Yeah. Allie, my office manager, uses this almost every day. Remember when we had the meeting, we talked about this, and she says that too, put it in without the water first, but she swears by this.
Yeah. It normalizes the moisture content of the stool. So if you're constipated, it adds water. If you have diarrhea, it reduces the water.
So this is something we need on hand for dang sure.
I think it's it's part of that triumvirate. Probiotics, enzymes feed the bacteria.
Okay. So somebody just asked a fantastic question right here. Great info, but it's a lot. Yes, that's right. It's like a fire hose. Can you give me list in order of what I would take a day? The ones he's talking about tonight, right? So we're talking about this. So,
all right. If you're having a lot of indigestion, if you're having a lot of gas and bloating, the thing I would start with first would be the digestive enzyme. Believe it or not, you will probably see the most immediate benefit to yourself in that you won't have that indigestion, you won't have as much burping and bloating and all that other good stuff.
That's right. You're right about that.
So you've got to break your food down first. Then I would add a probiotic.
Yep. Would
be the second thing. And then the third would be the systemic enzyme, which would be kind of cleanup. Mm-hmm. So that's the order, Sandy. If you ever have any questions, I can certainly, if you go to master-supplements.com, you can ask questions there and I'll get the answers for you.
So www.master-supplements.com.
Correct.
Okay.
Teresa, I can't list benefits because the FDA says we are not allowed to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. So when I put a benefit down to somebody, then they could construe our intent to be that we're diagnosing, treating, or curing.
That's exactly right.
So we're kind of hamstrung. Our old literature used to have scientific references on it, and they told us we had to take that off.
And Teresa, they do have a cheat sheet, on their website. Actually, if you go to it, there's a cheat sheet that tells you, it has all the products listed, and it says, I can't remember what it says. I was looking at it today. You all do have a great cheat sheet.
Well, we have a lot of different cheat sheets that we use for different things. But again, I'm sitting here in it's kind of an awkward position sometimes when you're being asked questions and you don't want to say something that's going to get you into trouble. And well, you're not very careful because we had 2 FDA inspections last year.
Oh, dear Lord. Hey, right here, Ava says, do you know if the fiber is low FODMAP friendly, right? Because FODMAP's a big deal.
That is a big deal. I would say it probably is because the molecular weight is so high.
Okay. Let's see here. Okay, we've got so many questions. Good gosh. Irritable bowel, IBS. One girl has IBS on here. Yeah, well, exactly the protocol we just talked about. Digestive enzymes, probiotic, a systemic enzyme, but also true fiber. I wish I'd have had this when I was struggling with IBS. And so Donna says, what about prebiotics? Well, here you go, right here. This helps prepare your gut for the probiotics, correct?
Right. If you know, there's a if you go to the ulcerative colitis website,
yes,
there's a chart that they have there that lists the foods that are the most alkalinizing foods and the most acidifying foods.
Oh.
And can anybody guess in your comments, what's the most alkalinizing food you can eat? A lemon.
Oh, a lemon, yes. They'll alkalize you. Yeah.
Because you're getting all those calcium and magnesium ions when it breaks down. So that's going to bring that's a pH of about 9. 7 is neutral. Anything above that is alkaline. Below that is acidic. What's the most acidifying food? Soda.
Soda, you bet.
So if you want to change your gut overnight and you're drinking soda, drink lemon water. It will change your gut overnight. When you have an improper pH in your gut, you're going to have many, many, many more problems than you will if you have a more basic or a little higher pH in your gut.
Amen to that. What about if a patient is struggling with Candida?
You didn't mention this one. We have an enzyme called True Flora, or a probiotic called True Flora.
You bet. I got it right here, right there. I was hoping you were, because we talked about this and I didn't know this. You talked about rotating.
Yes, and I'll explain this a little bit here. Okay. One of the things that we have done as a company from the very beginning is we understand which of these probiotic organisms are compatible.
Okay.
In other words, some are like putting 2 children in a hot car on a long trip. The windows don't go down. There's no air conditioning. The video player doesn't go, and they have no earbuds. They get there alive, but it's not a great journey. So we don't put together bacteria that are not compatible. And the organisms in True Flora are not compatible with bifidobacteria that are in Theralac.
Oh.
Now, that just means we're only worrying about that moment in time when you take them both. They're both beneficial. They'll find their little niches. They'll find their little cubbies where they're going to do their thing. But you put them together, one is going to stop the other one from growing. So we separate. So the True Flora has no bifidobacteria. It's primarily going to work in the small intestine. It has a bacillus organism in there, which is a spore, which will get through the stomach, like Bacillus subtilis, Bacillus coagulans. There's a lot of Bacillus actiniformis. There's a lot of bacillus that will get through the stomach. They're spores. Takes 6 to 12 hours to wake up before they can start to work. You know, they got to go from a spore to a vegetative state. So anyway, so what we did was we added 2 enzymes in there. Those 2 enzymes, beta-glucanase and hemicellulase, go after the glucans and the beta-glucans in the hyphae of problematic yeast. So what we have is a 3-pronged approach to it going after yeast. Number 1, the plantarum and the salivarius are aggressive consumers of sugar. So we're starving it. We have 2 enzymes in there which start to degrade the organism, physically start to break it down. And then these bacillus that are eating the sugar produce lactic acid, which is pushing out the yeast. But if you imagine a desktop and imagine the yeast is the size of a desktop, a bacterium is the size of a penny on your desktop. So if you drive out a yeast cell, you have to put in a lot of bacteria to fill that space. Otherwise, Mother Nature will fill it with the most opportunistic organism, which is most likely going to be a pathogen. Right. So what we do is we recommend you take True Flora in the morning, Theralac at night. If you have trouble, you know, if there's a lot of brain fog issues, sometimes it's easier for people to do one week and the other the next week. Just take it out, work with this bottle this week. Next week, use the other one. So you go True Flora, then Theralac. You clean, you recolonize. You clean, you recolonize. And that's what you're doing to help manage problematic yeast.
Wow. And I learned that when we had our meeting here last month or so. I had no idea. Okay, that is fantastic. Theralac. So when patients say, well, I just want to start a probiotic. I don't know. This is a good one. Theralac, the one that I was started on 10 years ago, even though I wasn't super healthy 10 years ago. In fact, I was sick as a dog. This is a good one, overall good one for healthy people, right?
That's going to balance everything. You've got some inflammatory cytokine induction, rather, I should say, and you have some anti-inflammatory cytokine induction. You have some oxalate degrading bacteria. They're all histamine, not likely to increase histamines. They're not likely to increase tyramines. So, and they're going to work in the small intestine and in the colon. They're going to cover the entire GI tract. Yes, that's the most basic one. If you're taking an antibiotic, you should take a probiotic. You should take at least 2 Theralac every day while you're taking the antibiotic and for at least 30 days afterwards.
Yes. Okay. So that brings up a great question that somebody emailed me today. They were on an antibiotic twice a day right now, wanted to know how to take their probiotic. What do you tell patients? And I'm going to see if this is what I told her.
Well, you'd like to see separation of an hour or two.
That's what I said. I said 1 hour before or 2 hours after is what I told her. Yeah. And I told her to double her probiotics, to take it twice a day. And which if she's taking her antibiotic twice a day, you know, you're taking it, before or after. Okay. So did you all get that? If you're taking an antibiotic, because there are times when people have to have an antibiotic, take your probiotic. I tell people double your probiotic 1 hour before or 2 hours after and take it twice a day. That's how I do it. Is that correct?
Try to move that second dose of antibiotic up and take 2 Theralac at bedtime. If you can just move it up 1 hour to 9 o'clock and go to sleep at 10 o'clock with your Theralac, you're good. Now, a lot of doctors who treat Lyme disease are very heavy antibiotic users.
Yes.
And pill fatigue becomes a significant issue for people.
You bet it does.
So they've had them say you can take them at the same time. It's not optimal, but it's better to do that than not take it at all.
You bet. You bet. Yes, there is something.
I would alternate. I would do it. I'd buy a bottle of each and do a week and a week and a week and a week and a month. You should start to see some change. There's some other products that Dr. Williamson can talk to you about that might help a little bit as well. We have one called Enzyme that would be really good for that too.
I'm not a doctor. I'm a nurse. But Jackson's going to be a doctor. He got accepted to medical school. If I can go get my PhD, I'm looking to get my doctorate, then I will be Dr. Dani. I won't be a DO or an MD, but I will be. Okay, so we would alternate these for a month is how you're saying. Okay. Now,
you should see some changes then, you know, and then you can probably maintain with just Theralac.
Yes.
It has an impact as well. The Theralac has some impact on yeast just because it produces lactic acid. Some of the same bacteria break down a lot of sugars, but each organism breaks down different sugars better. Some are better at lactose, some are better at maltose, some better at fructose, some are better at glucose. So again, having a variety and a little bit of this and a little bit of that is what we're trying to do. Probiotics are the police. They just help you get back to your normal. Your normal is different from Dani's, is different from mine. It's what your mother gave you. In fact, you're probably a function of what your mother ate 2 weeks before you were born.
That's exactly right. Isn't that something? My mom smoked cigarettes nonstop the whole time I was pregnant. She was pregnant, drank coffee the entire time and ate Navy food. I was born on Navy base. It was terrible. It's a miracle I'm halfway put together over here. Look, but here's something I want you to talk about. Do you think patients need a probiotic every day of their life for the rest of their life? Guys, listen to this. I'm so grateful that you say this because a lot of companies say you got to take it every day. You got to take it every day. This is the beauty of Theralac, and it even says it on the back of the bottle. Talk about this.
Well, again, that bottle of Theralac guarantees 30 billion CFU at expiration, which is 2 years after we made it.
That's right.
To get there, we had to put more than 30 billion in there. And that's why we have always published those third-party lab tests. You can go and you can look and see sometimes it's 50 billion, sometimes it's 60 billion, sometimes it's 45. So you're getting quite a bit more. And if a study showed that 10 billion CFU of this particular organism would help somebody with this particular issue, we wanted to make sure that in 2 capsules a week, we delivered that amount. So our original program was take 1 Theralac a day for 2 weeks. Then after that, 2 a week. So that bottle of 30 capsules would last 10 weeks. But again, I keep saying food is the most important thing you can do for your microbiome. So do you need to take a probiotic? Probiotic is just going to help you get back to normal. You can maintain it with a good organic diet, high in the variety of colors of fruits and vegetables, uncooked or just mildly steamed, so you don't destroy the enzymes that are in there. And that's the best thing you can do.
That's exactly right. You're right. Okay. Anything else that you want to share tonight? Do y'all have anything in the pipeline that you share with us? What's going on? Anything?
We keep adding things. You know, we just added a product for it's called Immunizyme. It's alpha lipoic acid, vitamin D, vitamin K2, but the M7 trans form, not the cis form, which means there's a very big difference between, you know, different things just based on their chemistry. We're all familiar with, you know, our hands are identical when you look at them like this. They got 4 fingers and a thumb, but when you put them together, they're mirror images of each other. Chemicals are the same way. Some are to have the hydroxyl group hanging off on the left, others will have it hanging off on the right. And they're metabolized very differently because of that. And so some of these things are part of what we always look at when we build our products to make sure that they're going to be the most benefit. So like I said, changing your diet is going to be the most important thing you can do. The probiotics are going to help you get back to your normal. We need to talk about Glutathione. Yes, let's talk about Glutathione. Right. This is a very powerful product. It's pretty astonishing. And this is one of those products that when I was talking about Troy, how putting enough of something in there is what really matters. And then how I talk about labels, how so important it is. Some products that are like that have the word gluten and infer that's going to help you manage gluten. Gluten is that wheat sensitivity issue that's leaky gut type derived. And they will list just peptidase on the label. And that doesn't tell you how much of the actual enzyme, which is called DPP4. That's the enzyme that's going to break down the gluten. Some will list it, and they'll put in 750 or maybe 1,500 DPP4 units. Glutathione has 15,000. That's a lot of it. Now, if you go to the greatplainslaboratory.com/DPPIV, Roman numeral 4, you will see what Dr. Shaw says about the importance of DPP4. And I'm going to read from his website. Conditions associated with the DPP4 deficiency: prostate cancer, fibromyalgia, bulimia, Churg-Strauss, HIV, rheumatoid arthritis, Alzheimer's, autism, Crohn's, polyangiitis, Wegener's disease, alcoholism, psychosis, lupus, constructive pulmonary disease, depression, bipolar depression, anorexia, oral cancer, melanoma. All these people have low DPP4 levels. Now, can I say that the deficiency is causing the disease or the disease is causing the efficiency? No. I'm just saying that people with those conditions are DPP4 deficient. So there's a product that we have that, you know, might be able to help people balance out their DPP4 deficiency. Where'd you go, Dani? She left. I went to my cabinet because we had this discussion. I've used this product for a long time in the office, and this is not to downgrade them at all or anything, because I've taken this, as I have this in my cabinet in there. This is my gluten, my gluten rescue with wheat rescue, DPP4. Well, I don't even see it, so it has to be on here somewhere, though, right? It is peptidase.
What? Oh, peptidase. 125.
Right.
DPP4. There it is right there.
Right.
125. This is
15,000.
15,000.
So I like to say, though, if you have a gluten sensitivity, there is no gluten in your home. You can be certain. That because you are sensitive and you don't have it. If you go out to eat, there's a chance that you're going to get some cross-contamination.
You bet.
So I like to say, if you didn't make it, you should take it. Just take one. you know, and before you go out to eat. And then if you happen to come across some, it may not cause any problem. I've been out with
That's
doctors
exactly
at
right.
dinner, and they get some wheat germ in their salad that they didn't know was there, and they're gluten sensitive, and they've taken that, they have not had an issue. So
that's exactly what I do. Now, I can't wait to start on this one because this is brand new for me. We will be discontinuing everything. I have 2 in my office. 1, 2, no, 3. I have 3 different gluten enzymes in the office, and they're fine and they work fine, but they are not nearly as powerful as this.
But
so we will
keep 1 though, or 2, because sometimes, you know, everything in moderation, including moderation. So ours is really powerful. Some people may not be able to tolerate something that's strong. So if you have something that's a little bit lighter, you're going to be able to help them.
Good idea. Okay.
You know?
Good idea. So I'll probably keep Wheat Rescue because I'm a big fan of this one. I like this one.
I don't ever want to talk I mean, one of my favorite sayings anymore is don't denigrate me to validate yourself.
You bet.
I don't like
you
to
bet. Down. You bet. And I'm just telling you, that's exactly right. And there's enough of the pie to go around. I tell patients this, I'm not the end all be all for everybody. You're not the end all be all for everybody. Again, this may be too much for somebody. So we'll keep something that's a little less powerful. I get it. That's great. And this is one of the reasons, guys, that I love the integrity of this company. They make a phenomenal they make phenomenal products. They keep it tight, which I love. But they also know that, you know, there's not one answer for everyone.
Right. And one other thing I'd like to mention, no animals are harmed in the making of any of our products. Everything that we have is pretty much going to fit the vegetarian mode, including vitamin D. Most vitamin D comes from sheep or fish.
Yes.
Ours is fermented from mushrooms.
Wait, do you have a vitamin D that is safe for alpha-gal patients who can't eat any mammals at all because they've been bitten by the Lone Star tick? What?
Yeah, there is no.
Stacy, if you're on here tonight, we will get this for you because she wants a pill, not a liquid. And I only have a liquid D3 for her that's safe. Okay. We're going to get that on the online store.
And it also has some protease and some amylase. It's got a few other enzymes in there that are going to help. But again, these are plant-based enzymes. But it's vitamin D3, and it's 5,000 units of D3 in 1 capsule. Like $24 for 120 capsules.
What? What's the name of that? Hold that up again. I'm going to tell Evilo that we have to have this right now. I'm going to take a picture and send it to him right now. That's going to be added to our online store. Add that to our online store, please, ASAP, period. Okay, we're going to get that in the office. Text me tomorrow in Jackson and we'll order that in because I only have a liquid D3 that is vegetarian or vegan.
Yeah, most lanolin comes from or sheep. Lanolin is where the source of most vitamin D or cotton.
You bet it does. And patients who've been bitten by that tick and have alpha-gal cannot take it at all. So it's a real problem. And Jeff, I just thank you so much. I agree, guys. It has been a whirlwind. We've already been talking for almost an hour.
I took too much time.
Oh, I know. It's just fantastic. So there was a question, how do you know if you have leaky gut? And I don't know where it is, but here's the answer to that question. If you have joint pain, if you have headaches, if you have fatigue, if you have heartburn, if you have arthritis, autoimmune condition, if you have bloating, gas, gurgling, diarrhea, constipation, high blood pressure, diabetes, then you have leaky gut. It's as simple as that. Those are symptoms of something going on deep inside of you that you weren't born with. You weren't born with high blood pressure or high cholesterol or lupus like me or irritable bowel. You turn that on. That is a leaky gut. I am living proof. If you change your diet, if you take some probiotics, right? I mean, yeah, ideally you'd eat your probiotics every single day, but we're not doing that. You can turn this around. So it's not a matter of do I have a leaky gut? No, you do have a leaky gut. Am I right on that?
I would say so. And then, you mentioned inflammation, that Therazyme is even good for sports injuries. You know,
What?
yeah.
I'm learning so much tonight,
Yeah, I mean,
guys.
there's a lot of inflammation going on there,
You
and
bet.
systemic enzymes can really help with inflammation. So a systemic enzyme is going to start breaking down the circulating immune complexes. Any proteins are in there. It's going to help with the inflammation, like from sports injuries. It's going to clean your blood, right? The Cerezyme that's in there is going to help with internal and external scar tissues. It's going to help with lymphatic drainage, which is going to help breast health. It's going to help with cleaning up the brush border sites. I mean, there's so many things that are going to happen from systemic enzymes. Remember, Probiotics, when we first started our company back in 2002 with our credit cards, everybody said, what's a probiotic? And guess what happened? Jamie Lee Curtis happened. And everybody knew what probiotics were from Activia yogurt commercial with Jamie Lee Curtis. Enzymes have yet to have their Jamie Lee Curtis moment. People don't understand them. That thing that could take 1,000,000 years to happen can happen 1,000 times a second because of an enzyme. You can't function without enzymes, and every enzyme is a protein, and they all need minerals. So if you're mineral deficient, your enzymes aren't going to work. That what they call junk DNA in us. Do you really think Mother Nature would create 93% of something as junk? No, every bit of that DNA is coding enzymes to do specific functions inside your body. So there's so many different things that can impact your DNA, and so you need to. I mean, it's all health. Sickness it costs a lot more money than health, and maybe our probiotics is more expensive than one that you can buy at a drugstore or in the grocery store. But what you'll get as a result, and that's what we're looking for, is a good result in that product.
Yeah, it retails for about $48, but I tell my patients, once you go through the first bottle, then this bottle will last you about 4 months. If you want, I personally have them take it every night for a month because I don't get the healthy people in there. I get the sickest of the sickest oftentimes. And so I have them take it every night for 30 days, and then they can take it every 4 days if they want. Now, a lot of people choose not to. They choose to take it every night, and that's okay too. I mean, you're not going to overdose on it. But I'm going to tell you about the power of enzymes. I'm just now learning about enzymes. I have a really good friend here, Victoria Bailey. She did her whole doctorate degree on enzymes, and she's a big believer that we need systemic enzymes in our body. And the more we learn, we could come back and just talk about enzymes one day. I mean, for sure. And if you guys want that, hit your heart buttons. And I'm sure Jeff would definitely come back and do that. But guys, we are out of time. It is 62 minutes into this. And I just wanted to say, what an amazing night. And welcome to every single one of you that are new followers. Leanne Morgan's people. I don't know if you know who Leanne Morgan is. She is a comedian, world famous comedian. She's hilarious. And she did a shout out for me, unbeknownst to me, on Instagram, and her people, I mean, like 1,000 people started following, and you guys are on here tonight, and I am so grateful for you, and you've learned so much. You have, and I'm so grateful for you. Next week, next Sunday night, if you're on our newsletter, if you get our newsletter, you will be getting a newsletter out, I don't know, it may be Tuesday or Wednesday, with the recipe for next Sunday night for sweet potato chili. Shondi of Show Me Healthy Living will be back for the 3rd time on Sunday night service. And we're going to be cooking live with you all as well, from Montana to Franklin to all over the country on this recipe. But she'll be talking about eating foods to build your immune system up all year long. She's brilliant. So that recipe will go out on the newsletter, DaniWilliamson.com. Go sign up for that. If you live local, come in. I have every one of his products he talked about tonight in the office. You're welcome to come in 6 days a week. You do not have to be a patient. Come in, say hello to Jackson, my son, who runs the supplement store until July, and then he leaves for medical school, and he's going off to, woohoo! He got his acceptance letter this week. And oh my gosh, I'm so proud of that kid. And he takes off and leaves for medical school, and then he's going to come back and hopefully take over his mom's business. If you don't, if you want to watch all the other Sunday night services, go to our YouTube channel, Dani Williamson Wellness. 3 years worth of education are on there for you. Video after video after video, every single one of you. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you for your prayers. COVID was a booger for me, I can tell you, but I didn't. Anyway, you all know the story and you can all see my videos and all, but I survived it. I felt 110% tonight, and it's 7:05 tonight. 7 o'clock tomorrow, 12 o'clock or 12 hours from now, I have my first patient. So we'll see how I do tomorrow, but I'm sure I'm going to do fine. But Jeff, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having. Do you have any parting words to say?
No, I just saw a question that comes up about the fridge issue from somebody. We use a glass bottle. Water can move freely through a plastic bottle. Oxygen can move into a plastic bottle. A glass bottle is what you need to protect them. If you are going to take it every day, you don't need to keep it in the refrigerator overnight. If you're going to keep it for any length of time, you want to keep it in the refrigerator. It's that simple. A lot of times people put it in the refrigerator, they forget it. So, but a glass bottle is going to protect it. There's an oxygen absorption pack, a moisture absorption pack. We understand how to take bacteria from the fermenter to your fermenter. And that keeps the bottle in between.
That's great. Yeah, I keep mine in the bathroom, but I don't take long showers because I'm a single mom, or I'm still a single mom, but my kids are grown. So I'm used to taking like 45-second showers and jumping out. So mine are fine in there. But if you take super long showers, you probably don't, or hot showers, probably don't want that in the bathroom. But Ava says, come back with Dani, Jeff. Okay, good. Well, we make a good team. I love this guy, and I haven't got
a live from Integrative Healthcare Symposium this time in May instead of February.
They moved it. It's not in May this year. Did you know that?
Oh no, did they move it again?
Yes, they've moved it to the fall, and they don't even have a date yet. So Ava was my former boss in New York City, who's on there right now. She was the owner of the Comedy Cellar where I worked, which is a world famous comedy club. And Ava still lives right above the comedy out there at the Comedy Cellar. She's in New York City. I always stay with her or visit her whenever I'm there seeing you. But no, it's going to be in the fall this year. So yes, Teresa, the code is Dani online. Carewell has everything we need, and he now has the vegan D3. He'll have that up there tomorrow morning as well. Guys, we appreciate you so much. And Mary Laura, let me tell you something. Between that and your relaxed sauna that you bought from Phil on our Sunday night service, between Theralac or True Flora and your sauna, you're going to start feeling a lot better. Jeff and I talked about the sauna yesterday. Actually, we love the relaxed sauna. We love a sauna, right?
Yes.
You bet. All right, guys, I appreciate you so much. And I'll see you next Sunday night with Shondi from Show Me Healthy Living. And Jeff, have a fabulous week. Thank you for all you do and everything you do to help all of us. And listen, guys, their website, I'm going to put it up here again. It's www.master- is that right? mastersupplements.com. If you go to their website, you will have, there's so much education on there. Okay. And you can read and you can reach out to them. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me as well, but he's the brilliant one.
And you can also add our other website that we use for our healthcare professionals, usenzymes.com.
Okay.
There's a lot of information there.
Oh, really? usenzymes.com, which is this company.
Correct.
Right here. Okay, I got it. So you guys take pictures of this, and then you can go and you can read and research and all that. But you'll get a $5 off if you order online through Carewell, but you have to put the code Dani in. Okay. All right, guys. We appreciate you so much. Love you. Jeff, don't go anywhere.